Welcome to Animal Posse, the podcast dedicated to the people and rescues making a difference in the lives of animals. Today's guest is Lisa Krohn, the VP of New Orleans Bulldog Rescue. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am excited
You're
to
very
hear
welcome.
about all the work you do. I understand you work with the New Orleans Bulldog Rescue, you foster kittens, and you do TNR.
A little bit of
Choose
everything.
Yeah, it's a big difference too, going from bulldogs to kittens to TNR. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a very wide range of knowledge, to be honest.
So, to start, what first drew you into the world of animal rescue?
So it'd be 2006. I had moved into this house about 2 years before that, and I was feeding some outside cats, and I had one of my outside cats come to breakfast with her leg dangling and three kittens in tow. Once I fixed her leg, the neighbor decided to adopt her. And then my mom's wallpaper lady, Yogi Johnson, did rescue. So she helped me find the three kittens homes. And that was the end of it. I started fostering for Yogi's group pet adoption services. And I was with them for close to 10 years. And then I moved on to Bulldog Rescue on just a whim. Just they were on Facebook asking for anyone that would like to foster a dog on the euthanasia list. And I jumped on this little, I don't know, it was marked like a Catahoula, but it ended up being like a little like a sheepdog of some sort. So I fostered Delilah, who I think recently just passed away. She actually ended up in New York City with her mom. And I met Michael that way at our animal hospital, literally vetting the dog that I had just pulled off the euthanasia list. And then I just slowly started fostering dogs for him. First two dogs I fostered weren't even bulldogs. One was Delilah and one was a little Min Pin mix. Because at the time I owned a Min Pin and I was partial to the little black and tan dogs. And then right before Mardi Gras, pulled this bulldog and I named him Chunk. And he was a rock star. Like I'd only had him for less than a week, and we took him out to the Mardi Gras parade in the city for Barkus, and he walked with us and had a great life as well. One of our friends adopted him and we got to see him all the time. He'd come to our events once a month and you could see Chunk running through the crowd trying to hunt me down to look for me because he could hear my voice. He knew I was there. So I started my adventures with animals. I own cats and I own dogs. Being in the animal world animal advocacy world for 19 years, all of my friends are animal people. So I'm like, oh, I had one of my outside cats unexpectedly pass away, and I just happened to be having dinner with Rachel Goyette, who runs Jefferson SPCA. And I was like, I need some kittens. So I have some for you. And the next day they were having their crawfish boil at Jefferson Feed. So I went and had crawfish with everyone at Jefferson Feed and came home with kittens. Pretty much every year I foster a set or two of kittens. I think it's great for my big cats to have little cats in the house. New adult cat this year, Simon, and he is great with the babies. He's licking them and cleaning them, and also having to be reminded that he's 14 pounds and they are 1.5 pounds. But besides that, it's just day in, day out, caring for the animals that are here. I've got some long-term fosters. Bulldog Rescue took a year off from pulling dogs, unfortunately, because our vet bills were just out of control. Bulldogs are not cheap dogs to own, and they are not cheap dogs to pull from the shelter and get healthy. It takes a lot of money, and our adoption fees, obviously, they are not your normal $150, $250 adoption fees, but it still doesn't cover the thousands of dollars that we spend on dogs just to get them healthy. So that's where we are. I got my first dog this week. I haven't pulled a dog in almost 11 months, but we took a nice chunk off of our vet bill. But I got a little Frenchie this week from one of the shelters in St. Bernard, the St. Bernard Animal Shelter, I should say. Poor little guy was hit and pinned underneath a car and had a broken pelvis. And he's pretty much almost recuperated from that and has a meet and greet tomorrow. Get him in and get him out. So really quick, usually when we have cute little adoptable, perfectly healthy dog, there's really nothing wrong with him other than he's just recovering from a broken pelvis. One of our alumni put the bug out there that they were looking for another small dog because one of theirs just recently passed away. So we're going to meet tomorrow. So hopefully, finger crossed, he'll find homes. Mainly, we've been concentrating on some of these dogs that have just been sitting in rescue, the most like not adoptable or not running off the shelves kind of adoptions. I had a dog named Petey, and I got him from the Baton Rouge Animal Shelter, and he was 8 weeks old. Petey just found a home. He's been with me almost 5 years.
Oh,
Now he
wow.
lives on Long Island. He has two sisters that have severe mobility issues with spina bifida, and two brothers who are pretty mobile, but also have spina bifida. And he has spina bifida as well. Fully mobile, limps a little bit. I think there was some issues with one of his hips, like the way that it was shaped. But besides that, his main issue is that he leaked urine and feces, and it was unpredictable. So,
Mhm.
which makes for a mess. That's not a normal dog. And a lot of people look at that. Oh, I don't want to deal with diapers because it's like having a baby. And he also can't diaper 24/7 because you run the risk of getting infections. So it like tore me up to drop him off on transport, but it was like, oh my gosh, I've had Petey for 5 years. This is amazing. He's getting a great home. I want
Right.
to live on Long Island.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story. Now, you said that you couldn't keep him in diapers all the time, and I understand that, but what would you do? Would you keep him, like, crated to keep things clean, or how did you combat that situation?
He was either diapered in the house for short periods of time, and then he was crated. And in his crate, there was multiple pee pads because he likes to nest. So you just crumple them all up and sleep on them. And I'll put pee pads underneath his crate, and we would just clean up any messes that he left. If I was in the yard with him, I would run with him and get him to run the business out more or less.
Uh-huh.
But besides that, it was just cleanup. Loose in the house means you have to wear a diaper. You leave the house, you have to wear a diaper. So lots of bathing, lots of cleaning, lots of mopping and pee pads. So he spent time in the yard, in the kennel, or in the house diapered. That's pretty much how he lives.
Yeah, I've seen some cats have that before too. It's actually seems like it's a pretty common issue where they'll leak the urine or possibly leak the poop.
Yeah,
So,
it is. And it seems to be a common issue in bulldogs, unfortunately. They have
really? Hmm.
some major health issues. But yeah, that's actually how Petey found his home. Someone reshared his information to a specific spina bifida Facebook group, and they reached out to us because we don't normally do adoptions outside of a 2 hour radius of New Orleans. Because we're all volunteers, so I can't say, "Oh yeah, I'll adopt a dog to you in Nashville." But I do home checks and like to deliver my pets personally. I have one day off a week. So that means I would spend 6 hours driving to Memphis or Nashville, drop off the dog and come home. It's just not feasible. So we always stick with it like a 2 hour radius. And you have to come to an event. You've got to do home checks, vet checks, all the basic stuff that most rescue groups do. We do cover our heartworm treatment. A lot of our dogs sometimes have eye issues and skin issues. So some of those things, if they're in treatment when they get adopted, we do continue like a recheck and try to find our dogs homes once. So doing the vet checks is extremely important to call and make sure that the current dogs are on prevention. That is a major red flag if you have animals you don't have them on prevention. And then everyone has to be fixed in the home as well. We do not adopt dogs to homes that have unfixed animals. Even if there's no intent in breeding and our animal is fixed, it just changes the dynamic in the household to have an unfixed animal. And we just don't do it. It's just not something we do. We always advocate for spay and neuter across the board. Like we've had one incident and the dog had like a cardiologist report stating that he couldn't be sedated. And that was the only time that we've let a dog go to a home that had another unfixed animal.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. I'm the same way with that. Yeah, I think they all need to be spayed and neutered just to be responsible for the pet ownership.
Yeah, it's better for them health wise and better for the giant hole that we're all digging ourselves out of with all the unwanted animals that we already currently have. It's just the only way we're going to fix that is to educate people and to spay and neuter your animals, even if there's no intent on having a litter. It's just responsible. I still run across people that are like, oh, your dogs aren't going to have babies. And I'm like, absolutely not. Have you been to the animal shelter lately? Have you walked around at the animal shelter? I just can't wrap my mind around some of the things that people still think when it comes to animals and the way they perceive the animal shelter. It's just nonsense to me. I've also been around for a while. It's not like I'm just learning about these things. I've been doing rescue since '06. That's almost 20 years. That's almost half my life. That's
Uh-huh.
a long time. I
Right.
don't know how else to live my life. So I have a dog room and I have kittens running around in the bathroom currently getting some playtime because I have one of my dogs loose. So we're slowly doing kitten doggy introductions.
Yeah. And it's good that you have the dogs to introduce the kittens to, because there are a lot of people that they do want to adopt kittens and they want to ask, are they dog friendly? Now, for somebody like me, I don't have any dogs. I always have to say, I don't know.
When they're kittens, it takes a bit of time to get them used to dogs. But having dogs in the house definitely is a plus when you're adopting out kittens.
Yes, definitely. I agree. Definitely agree. Now, how does the Bulldog Rescue handle when people don't have a vet? So you can't call a vet for a veterinary reference if it's like a new owner.
Usually the process would be that they have to establish with the vet and then send a like wellness check visit receipt to us. It's in our contracts that within 14 days, any animal, whether you have a vet or not, needs to see a veterinarian just to do a wellness visit, just to make sure that everything that we're giving you medically is correct and that your vet can look at that information and do a wellness visit before you have an issue or an emergency. Your vet doesn't want to see your dog when it's on its way out or needing serious care. They want to visit with your new pet when it's happy, healthy, and having a good day. We always require a vet visit, but for people that do not have a vet, they have to send receipts to us. And most of the time, that just basically proves that they're buying heartworm prevention and that they're being responsible, because that's one of the main things that we require is you got to be responsible, got to have heartworm prevention. And to prove that to us, I just need a simple receipt.
How long has the New Orleans Bulldog Rescue been around?
So Michael Satchman started the group after Sula, a pit bull rescue, disbanded. And I believe that was close to 2010.
Uh
So I
huh.
think we've been around for like 14 or 15 years because Michael had been doing this for about a year and a half before, but he was with Sula before that. So he was pulling pit bulls, which we still love. We are all breed. We really don't just stick to bulldogs. My forever foster, who's 14 years old, is laying on the floor and she is a little blue nosed pit bull. And I've got a personal dog that's a pit and then an English bulldog. If it's on that breed restriction list, I'll take it. Thank you very much.
It's good to know that the New Orleans Bulldog Rescue is not breed specific.
You're not.
Yeah, I know a lot of times when people put that, people are like, "Oh no, it's strictly a breed specific thing." And I don't think a lot of people understand that rescues are very flexible when it comes to rescuing animals.
Absolutely. I feel like the breed specific dogs, the Frenchies and the English, they do bring out the crowds. But then once you're out there, you might fall in love with this little bulldog mix or another pit bull or any other dog that we have available for adoption at the time. So definitely a big draw to have English bulldogs and English available for adoption. But I find that people come out and they meet these dogs and they're not like the dog that they is a good match for their family. And then we have this other dog that's perfect for them. And just with a little bit of time of with them spending with the dog and us encouraging it, we usually can make a great match. And that's the main reason why we require people to come to adoption events. Come out, meet all the dogs. You're looking at a dog, you're just looking at its picture. You might have or you might not have even read the description about the dog, but the look of the dog is what people fall in love with. When you actually get there, you'd be surprised what you're actually drawn to. What is the best match for your family? And we always tell people it's not first come, first serve. I remember we had an incident at one of our very first Christmas events. It was like our first big event that I participated in. And there was a man, and he was insisting that he was the first one at the event and he was adopting that dog. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, that's not how it works. And he was furious, absolutely furious. Michael had to step in, and I don't even remember what de-escalated the situation, but I know that he was just insistent that he was there first and the dog was his. I'm like, that's just not how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see. I run into that on social media if I'm trying to help people with kittens. And one thing that I absolutely cannot stand too is when like a rescue offers to help and they're like, "Oh, I'll think about it." But if a rescue is offering to help, let them take the kittens. But what they'll do instead is they'll be like, "Oh, I already promised 1 or 2 to the person who said that they wanted them first." And it's really?
I'm just shaking. I'm literally just shaking my head
I
because
know.
I just don't understand. If a rescue is offering to help, that is like a guarantee that they're going to back the animals that you found until they find a forever home, whether it's financially or whether it's just at doing the social media work and advertising the animal on Pet Finder. It's just, I don't know. Back in the day, that's how I started with Bulldog Rescue. I follow through. That's all I did. I committed to an animal, and this rescue that I'd never even met stepped up financially. And I've been with them for the last, I think, 12 years, 10 years, a long time. I should have looked at those dates before. It's
Well,
been a while. I can't even remember. So, like, technically, I'm the vice president. I handle intakes. So if you send in a surrender request, I will look at it. If we've got a foster home that's a good match, I try to set up the intakes. Mostly try to pull our dogs from shelters. Most people just text me from the animal shelters and ask for help. I know most of the people that work at the local shelters, and like as far as like Baton Rouge, down in Chalmette, things like that. Most of the time they just have my phone number and I work closely with them. I just get the details. I get some pictures. I run it by Michael and let him know what we're looking at commitment wise. Usually it's medical stuff that Michael's worried about, but now I have a specific criteria for animals that I can pull and help so that I don't dig ourselves into a huge financial hole and whole things. The rescue's always that way. It's always going to be how much time do I have to go out and advocate for the animals and raise money. We do an online auction. Now we're doing it twice a year where we basically just auction off items that have been donated and the money comes straight to us and we just ship the items out to people all across the country to whoever buys the item. They just bid on them online. And then we usually have merchandise, which we have just reordered some t-shirts and we always have our donation button on Facebook and you can donate through Venmo. We have all the things. It just gets away from you when you're helping dogs and you're not looking at what's in the bank account and what the vet has on their tally. So, yeah, it can easily get out of control. But it's we've been around a long time. We just took a little break, but we're not down and out. I still have dogs here. Unfortunately, I had two dogs come back in November. Their dad had some medical issues. So I've got two dogs here that were in a home for almost 5 years that are now looking for homes again, either together or separately. But that's just in the last year, we've been pushing some of our long-term fosters. We got Petey adopted into a great home. And then Cobalt and Susie came back. And then, like I said, I just this week went down and pulled a new Frenchie. So poor guy doesn't even have a name at this point. Just the one they gave him at the shelter, and he doesn't know it. And I don't particularly like it. So we're just going with, here, dog, you're a good boy right now. So come on, dog. That's what I tell him. Come on, dog. And he's smart. He got the routine literally in a day. And he knows how to open the crate that he's in. So he has to be carabinered in there.
nice.
Very smart. He watched me close the crate one time and then was scratching at the door like 2 minutes later. I'm like, oh, he figured out that he can just push the crate up. It's just a crate that drops down and it's supposed to lock in place, but it didn't stay in place apparently.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that happened, unfortunately. I've got a couple dogs with storm fears currently, and I just put extra clips and extra zip ties, red cameras in that room, and just monitor when I'm not here to make sure everybody's okay. Especially because it's summer showers.
Yeah.
It's constantly having a thunderstorm around.
Yeah, it's amazing how smart they are too, because they will figure it out fast.
Yes. I've got a couple that can open kennels, including the one that's laying on the floor. She's in a very thick, like almost steel barred kennel, and her lock drops down and slides back, and she can undo both of them in
Wow.
record time. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, to be honest. because this is her third kennel, the same exact kennel. This is the third one, just because she's got storm fears. And when she's younger, she just destroyed the crates trying to get out. When she gets out, she doesn't do any damage. It's just that when I leave the house, everybody needs to be kenneled because everyone doesn't always get along. And I bring new dogs into the shelter. I have no idea if another dog is going to break out. And then I've got two loose dogs in one room and not home. When I've done rescue for a long time, I've got all the bases covered to make sure that I keep everyone safe, including myself, but mainly the animals. Like when I'm not here and I can't supervise, everyone's kenneled in their own separate kennels. And I just make sure everybody's calm before I walk out that front door. I don't leave the house when the dogs are going berserk. I've got a nice routine where everybody's in their kennels at least 10, 15 minutes before, in case anybody's got separation anxiety when they hear me hit the button on the door. Usually they know that this is the routine. They know I'm about to leave. Everybody seems to be good with that routine. And I just keep it the same way with my kittens. Even they go in and out of a large dog kennel that's in the bathroom. That's like their nighttime. I cover them at night. I'm trying to teach them nighttime is sleepy time, so they're not at their new homes running crazy at night. They're already used to the fact that they have to be sleeping at nighttime, and they're up and playing during the day. And when I go to work, they go back into their dog kennel. When I come home, they come out and they eat, and we do it all over again. The dogs go out, the kittens get out. It's just a constant revolving of who's in the house and who's in the yard.
What do you do if you have to evacuate for a hurricane?
That hasn't happened yet. I've only had smaller hurricanes to deal with. I've got a very large generator in the backyard and 3 air conditioning units. And for Ida, I stayed. I had way too many animals at that point in life to evacuate. I've got less animals now, but with the equipment that I have now, I can stay here, run the refrigerator, run everything that I need to, just as long as I can get gas for the generator. And that hasn't seemed to be a problem. My family also stays, so I've got my brother and my parents 7 minutes from me, and everybody is on the same page. Everybody checks in, and my brother will come over and help me get the generator and the AC units going. Usually I stay. The last big storm that I left for was Katrina, and at that time I did take my animals with me, my 2 dogs, my 2 cats, and then I haven't evacuated for a storm since then,
Yeah,
to be honest.
same with me. I stayed for Ida as well. We had the
And like,
generator.
yeah, I technically have 2 generators, but one of them, it will run my house and the neighbor's house. It's massive. It tells me what percentage I use. I've never used more than 20% of the battery at one time. I'm thankful for the thing as a Mac Daddy, but it is heavy to manhandle and to move around. And I can't sit out there if it's not running. Well, it might be able to now, but Petey used to eat the wires. I had to repair both of the generators because once you turn them off, Petey is like, oh, that giant thing was making noise. And he would chew on the wires and the hoses. He liked to eat the hoses. Don't know why. Random dog things.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They eat anything. Some of them, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I like seeing
Try to keep.
those posts where they show the vets on what they pull out of the dog's stomachs, and sometimes it's just amazing. So
Yeah, that is absolutely interesting to watch. Because I've had a dog that came to me from Baton Rouge, and what was in his stomach was not parts of things that were at my house. So wherever he came from before he was at the Baton Rouge shelter or at the Baton Rouge shelter was what was in his stomach, poor guy. And he did have to have it extracted. Piece of like plastic black mat or something. I don't even know. I didn't have a mat like that, so it definitely didn't come from my house.
so how is your setup for your kittens?
So currently, my kittens have a large dog kennel that sits up on top of my bathroom cabinet. So it makes my bathroom basically just kitten land. The sink is inaccessible at this point. And they've got a litter box in there, and they've got a stuffed animal, and their food and water, and then their wet food and water and their dry food go in and out of the kennel with them. And I feed like mom and baby cat and Frisky's kittens mixed together as per what Rachel sent home. And we do a little bit of Fortiflor in there. Sometimes put some Thrive on top, a little baby kitten Thrive. And then when I have the dogs loose in the house, everyone except for Rhonda, usually they are locked into the bathroom, and there's like a larger litter box for the adult cats in there and toys, and then their food and water are down. And then whenever I finish rotating the dogs, as long as I'm going to have some peace and quiet, in the house dog-wise, I'll let the kittens come out. And they storm the door like it's Armageddon. They're running out like maniacs. They're right at 8 weeks old. They know their names. It's Cheeto, Dorito, and Frito. Two little redheads and a little buff guy. And they're all boys. And that's basically my process with them is let them have as much out time from their dog crate. The minute that I'm up in the morning, they hear me in the bathroom because that's one of the first things I do. Let the dogs out. And then I go to the bathroom. And that's when they come out and I mix their food. And the minute that their food is mixed, they're storming back into the bathroom when I call them. And then that's pretty much how their day starts. We just do it all day long. They go in and out of the bathroom when the dogs are going in and out. And when I leave, they're in their dog kennel. And when I sleep, they're in their dog kennel. They're just so little at this point. I can't misplace them in the house because I've got to move the dogs around. So it's all very controlled by me just to make sure that everyone is safe and that the kittens are gaining weight. We're going in for our kitten shots. Dorito wasn't feeling well last time, so he did not get his second round of injections. We just finished with our antibiotics, so I'm hoping this week to get Dorito in, excuse me, and have his second set of kitten vaccines. Once they get 2 pounds, they'll get neutered and moved hopefully to Jefferson Feed for adoption. If not, I will just hold on to them as long as need be. That's what you do. When you volunteer to foster, at least that's what I do. When I volunteer to foster, it is all the way through the end. Even if I've got that dog for 5 years or these kittens for 5 years on my house, it's just, I'm committed. And that's the most important thing is that I signed up to make sure that these guys got adopted. And that's how it's going to be, whether it takes a couple weeks or 5 years. That's just how I am. I guess it's a good quality to have. I'm definitely committed to my animals. I've got this one takes heart med, that one gets bronchitis. The Bulldog's got a microorbital eye. I've got a cat with no eyelids. He also has stomatitis. Simon got his entropion fixed this year. I adopted a cat from Trap That Cat. And I was told that he had herpes in his eye. And I was like, okay, like it's not a big, huge deal. Like we'll just continue to treat it. Well, it didn't get any better. And we went to the eye specialist after we'd seen my vet twice and done some expensive meds as per what Rachel was telling me. They had used a similar issue with the cat with herpes in the eye, and that didn't work. So the eye specialist only has entropion. So then we got that fixed. That's just what you do. When you have an animal, you have an issue, you fix it. Or you do your
Absolutely.
best to maintain it or treat it or whatever. Wanda's heart meds are $130 a month. And I go and pick them up every single month. That's just because she needs them. She's got a left ventricle issue. She's 14 years old. Whoever had her tied to a tree on a 2-inch, or not 2-inch, I think it was 2 feet maybe. It wasn't very large rope in the backyard for 2 years of her life. Didn't give her heartworm prevention. So by the time we got her and saved her, she had enough damage done to her heart that she's got an issue with her left ventricle. Over the years, it fortunately has not changed, but she's still on an expensive heart med twice a day for years now. And she'll be on those meds until she passes away. And hopefully that's no time soon. Oh, my old girl,
And how old is she?
14.
Wow. Yeah.
She's still spry. She'll still jump all over my dad when my dad comes to cut the grass. And she still sounds ferocious if she's loose and you knock on the door. And that's the main thing. I need you to know we got dogs here when you knock on my door.
Wow. 14 and she's got heart problems. That's amazing.
Yeah, she's been around for a long time. She's been relatively healthy besides her heart issue. She's had a hematoma in her life. And the latest thing was a UTI. And
Mhm.
she's been extremely healthy. But obviously, we try to take care of our animals. We feed quality food. Everybody sees the vet when they need to, gets their heartworm prevention on time. I just do what a responsible pet owner should do for their animals. I just happen to own more cats than I do dogs, but I run a dog rescue. I
Right.
tell people that and they laugh. I'm like, I didn't even have a bulldog in my home as my personal pet for 5 years when I was doing Bulldog Rescue. So my first bulldog I adopted after I'd already been with this rescue for 5 years.
Huh.
And that was Monty. I'm on my third now. So I had Monty and Lucy, who both had serious behavior issues. Monty, much less than Lucy. Lucy couldn't even hardly leave the house. It was very very one-sided relationship, but I was her mama. I nursed her back to health and hand fed her when she got pneumonia. She was down to 34 pounds and spent a couple weeks in ICU over at Metairie Small. And yeah, I was pretty much the only one that could handle her. And that was fine by me. Unfortunately, she didn't live very long. It was only 18 months from the damage that was done to her heart. She had serious heart problems. When it was time, I took her in and stayed with her, and it was time. So I only had her for 18 months. But the trail on social media and Craigslist, I think she had at least 4 owners and was heartworm positive for at least 5 years before I got her.
Oh,
Because
wow.
after we posted about her, people came out of the woodwork going, I saw this dog on Craigslist. I saw her on Facebook 2 years ago. She was heartworm positive then. Someone gave her away on Craigslist. At that point, I knew that she had some serious issues along her life, with humans, treating her horribly. You could tell. You couldn't touch the broom in the house. If you grabbed the paper towels, it was on like Donkey Kong. She would come after you. Sometimes coming out of the bathroom, if you were holding something in your hands, anything, didn't matter what color, just holding something in your hands, your dirty clothes, she'd get up and go out of her way to charge you just because she could. No other reason. I couldn't figure out a rhyme or a reason to what set her off. Just knew that I couldn't carry things around in the house much when she was loose, or I run the risk of her charging me. So she never hurt me, but she definitely showed me that I was not in charge of this house.
Yeah,
Even
that's
though,
sad.
and it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. And she let me do all the things to her. Like I could clean her wrinkles and even the most girly spots, and she would let me.
So how many pets do you have?
So I own 2 dogs and 4 cats. 3 are strictly inside, and 1 is still from my shelter TNR days. I had to relocate her here. Thankfully, I relocated her here because she ended up with a diaphragmatic hernia repair that needed to be done. But she's my last outside cat, and that's it. 4 cats, 2 dogs. But I'm just one person. That's more than enough for just me to handle. And then I've got the 3 dogs here in rescue. Technically 4. Because of Rhonda, but she's my forever foster. Unfortunately, she doesn't really go to events, and she needs a very specific home. And with heart issues at the age of 14, I don't think that she's going to go anywhere. She's technically my dog. She sleeps in bed with me.
Thank you, Lisa, for joining me today to talk about your role with New Orleans Bulldog Rescue and everything that you do in animal rescue. We will be back next week with Lisa to finish up our conversation about some of the things that she has experienced in animal rescue. And we'll also discuss TNR. So we hope to see you next week. If you are enjoying our show, please consider leaving us a donation. 100% goes to our animals. Thanks for listening.
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. If you are in animal rescue, or if you know someone that has a story that should be told, please contact us. We would love to have you or them on the show. Thanks for listening, and please join us next week as we continue to explore the world of animal rescue.